In this episode, Andrew Huberman interviews Mark Andreessen, a renowned innovator and investor in technology companies. They discuss the traits of exceptional innovators, the importance of risk-taking, and the transformative potential of artificial intelligence. Mark shares insights on how innovators navigate uncertainty and the role of intrinsic motivation in their journey. Andreessen mentions that innovators are typically high in trait openness, which means they are open to new ideas and are creative in various aspects of their lives. They also possess a high level of conscientiousness, which allows them to apply themselves and work hard over a long period of time. Additionally, innovators tend to be high in disagreeableness, which means they are willing to go against the norm and take risks. Lastly, they have high IQ, which enables them to synthesize large amounts of information quickly. Mark Andreessen also discusses the role of risk-taking in innovation. He explains that innovators need to be willing to take risks, not only in their professional lives but also in their personal lives. He mentions that some innovators are risk-takers in all aspects of their lives, and this can have consequences. However, he emphasizes that risk-taking is necessary for true innovation and that without it, many great ideas would never come to fruition. Innovation involves decision-making under uncertainty, as the world is a complex and unpredictable place. Mark Andreessen explains that innovators try to pre-plan as much as possible by navigating the idea maze. This involves thinking through various possibilities and potential future paths. However, he acknowledges that the world is constantly changing, and innovators need to be able to course-correct and adjust their plans based on new information and feedback. He mentions that great innovators think in terms of hypotheses and are willing to test and modify their plans as they learn and discover new things. The podcast also explores the concept of intrinsic motivation in innovation. Mark Andreessen mentions that the journey itself is the reward for innovators. They find motivation in the process of creating and improving, rather than solely focusing on external markers of success. He explains that intrinsic motivation allows innovators to compete against themselves and constantly strive to get better. He also highlights the social component of motivation, as being surrounded by successful role models can inspire greater aspirations. Andreessen emphasizes the importance of personal relationships in the lives of innovators. He suggests that having someone or several people who truly believe in an innovator can be immensely powerful. These individuals provide support and encouragement, especially when the rest of the world may not believe in the innovator's ideas. Andreessen mentions that some innovators, like Steve Jobs, had complicated personal lives early on but were able to work through their issues and find happiness in their relationships later in life. However, he also acknowledges that not all innovators are able to maintain stable personal relationships due to their intense drive and focus on their work. Andreessen discusses the influence of elites and institutions on public perception. He suggests that there is a gap between the elites and the general public, with the elites being less tolerant and more judgmental. He argues that the public is actually more open and forgiving than the elites, as evidenced by the popularity and support for certain individuals who have faced controversy. Andreessen believes that the elites, including institutions and the media, have a significant impact on public opinion and can shape the narrative around certain individuals or movements. He also mentions the existence of astroturfing, where certain groups are paid to create and amplify outrage in order to influence public perception. Andreessen acknowledges that many people believe institutions have gone bad and are taking away constitutional rights. This loss of confidence is seen as problematic by some, but Andreessen suggests that it may not necessarily be a bad thing. He questions the effectiveness of reform movements and the ability of existing institutions to be reformed from within. He mentions the example of housing policy in the Bay Area, where reform efforts have not led to significant changes. Andreessen argues that if institutions have become corrupt or ineffective, it may be necessary to replace them rather than trying to reform them. The discussion then turns to the possibility of reforming existing institutions. Andreessen mentions that some professors at Stanford, where he is employed, believe they can fix the institution from within. However, he expresses skepticism about the current direction of Stanford and questions whether reform efforts are productive. He highlights the bureaucratic red tape and conflicts of interest that hinder the ability to implement meaningful changes. Andreessen suggests that universities, like other institutions, are built on old systems that may not be conducive to effective reform. He also mentions the difficulty of challenging the accreditation process, which is controlled by existing universities and limits the establishment of new institutions. Andreessen argues that if there is a widespread loss of faith in institutions, it may be necessary to replace them with new ones. He mentions the University of Austin as an example of a new institution that is attempting to provide an alternative to traditional universities. However, he acknowledges the challenges they face, such as the difficulty of accessing federal student loans and the social ostracism they encounter. Andreessen suggests that the existing system is rigged to prevent competition and innovation in the education sector. He believes that new institutions cannot thrive as long as the old ones remain intact. He argues that tearing down the old institutions may lead to a period of disruption, but it is necessary to pave the way for the emergence of new and better systems. The conversation then shifts to the topic of artificial intelligence, AI. Andreessen provides a historical context, explaining the early debates about whether computers should be modeled after calculating machines or the human brain. He highlights the emergence of neural networks as a different approach to computing, based on the understanding of how the human brain operates. Andreessen explains that traditional computers, known as von Neumann machines, are hyper-literal and lack the ability to synthesize information or make judgments. In contrast, AI based on neural networks can be conceptual, creative, and able to process information in a way that resembles human intelligence. Andreessen discusses the benefits and challenges of AI. He mentions the success of AI in vision recognition, such as self-driving cars and facial recognition. AI has surpassed human capabilities in these areas due to its ability to process vast amounts of data and recognize patterns. However, he acknowledges the concerns about privacy and data pooling. He explains that companies like Google, which pool data for training AI, have an advantage over companies like Apple, which prioritize privacy and limit data pooling. Andreessen also mentions the advancements in AI for voice recognition and transcription, highlighting the impressive accuracy of AI systems in these tasks. One of the concerns raised during the conversation is the authenticity of text generated by ChatGPT, an AI language model. Andreessen explains that the current version of ChatGPT is trained on data up until September 2021, which consists mostly of text written by human beings. He mentions that most of his own published work is under his name, making it easier to verify the authenticity of his text. However, he acknowledges that with the rise of AI-generated text, the challenge of distinguishing between authentic and fake content becomes more significant. Andreessen points out that there is an ongoing arms race in educational settings, where students use AI tools like ChatGPT to write essays, and teachers use tools to detect AI-generated content. However, these tools are not foolproof, and there are limitations in identifying AI-generated text accurately. He mentions the possibility of watermarking AI-generated text but believes it is currently impossible to implement effectively. The distinction between real and fake content becomes increasingly blurred, and he suggests that the days of easily distinguishing between the two may be over. The conversation delves into the potential of AI to be used for both good and bad purposes. Andreessen acknowledges that AI can make it easier for bad actors to do harmful things. Criminals and terrorists can leverage AI to plan and execute their activities more effectively. However, he also highlights the positive aspects of AI, such as its potential in the field of medicine. AI can assist in tasks like pathology analysis, where it can identify microscopic abnormalities that may be missed by human pathologists. Additionally, AI can provide empathetic support and guidance to patients, helping them adhere to treatment plans and improve health outcomes. Andreessen envisions a future where humans and AI form a symbiotic relationship. He believes that AI can serve as a companion, mentor, coach, and assistant to individuals. This partnership can extend to various aspects of life, including healthcare, education, and decision-making. AI can provide personalized support, guidance, and encouragement to individuals, helping them achieve their goals and make better choices. Andreessen emphasizes that individuals should always be in control of their interaction with AI and should have the ability to turn it on or off as desired. The conversation also touches on the potential modalities through which AI companions can interact with individuals. These modalities include voice-based interactions, augmented reality, haptic feedback, and even direct neural stimulation. Andreessen mentions that entrepreneurs and companies are exploring different hardware and software solutions to enable these interactions. The goal is to create a seamless and personalized experience that aligns with individuals' preferences and needs. Andreessen explains the three-stage societal response to new technologies. The first stage is denial, where people ignore the technology and do not take it seriously. The second stage is rational counter-argument, where people come up with reasons why the technology will not work or is not necessary. The third stage is name-calling, where people label the technology as evil or dangerous. Andreessen provides historical examples of moral panics and societal responses to new technologies throughout history, such as the panic around comic books, jazz music, and automobiles. Andreessen argues that the resistance to new technologies is often driven by a desire to maintain status and power. He suggests that the reordering of status in society, which occurs when new technologies emerge, threatens those who have achieved high status through existing systems. He mentions that politicians, for example, may resist new technologies because it disrupts their established methods of gaining power and influence. Andreessen emphasizes that the fight for status and power is a significant factor in the resistance to innovation. Next, Andreessen discusses the concept of scientific discovery and truth. He acknowledges that there are certain areas of science that may not be politically correct to talk about today. However, he believes that every scientist knows the truth, as the truth is still the truth. He gives the example of geneticists in the Soviet Union who were forced to abide by Lysenkoism, a pseudoscientific theory. Andreessen is convinced that these geneticists knew all along that Lysenkoism was wrong, as their basic training in genetics established core truths upon which even the false theory had to rest. He emphasizes that scientists cannot delude themselves, especially when the core truths of their field contradict certain ideas. Andreessen discusses the challenges faced by large organizations, such as corporations, academia, and government. He explains that while these organizations have many advantages, they often struggle to execute tasks efficiently due to the overhead of combinatorial communication. The number of people who need to be consulted and agree on decisions becomes staggering, leading to delays and inefficiencies. Scheduling meetings alone can take a significant amount of time. Additionally, internal competition within large organizations can be more intense than external competition. Andreessen points out that internal enemies, such as colleagues vying for promotions, can be more dangerous than external competitors. He suggests that large organizations that manage to be productive are rare and should be celebrated. Andreessen believes that small teams have an advantage over large organizations when it comes to innovation. While large organizations may have resources and scale, they often struggle to move quickly and make decisions efficiently due to their bureaucratic nature. In contrast, small teams can organize fast and solve issues promptly. They can have meetings and make decisions on the same day, allowing them to move faster than their larger counterparts. Andreessen acknowledges that small teams may lack the resources and global coverage of large organizations, but their ability to act swiftly gives them a competitive edge. Andreessen introduces the concept of wild ducks, which refers to individuals who have the ability to make new things and break the rules. He shares the example of IBM, which had a system in place to support these wild ducks. They were given the freedom to invent new products, work on new projects, and were exempt from following the same rules as other employees. These wild ducks were considered glassbreakers and were supported by the company's management, including the CEO. Andreessen believes that having a small group of individuals who can think outside the box and challenge the status quo is crucial for innovation. These individuals may not fit into the traditional organizational structure, but their ability to generate breakthrough ideas is invaluable. Andreessen discusses the emergence of venture capital as a parallel funding system that supports wild ducks. He believes that the availability of venture capital allows these individuals to leave large organizations and start their own companies. This freedom to pursue their ideas without the constraints of a bureaucratic structure has led to significant innovation. Andreessen suggests that venture capital has played a role in the decline of large companies like IBM and HP in the 80s and 90s. The ability of wild ducks to access funding and create their own ventures has disrupted the traditional model of large organizations dominating the market. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.